What is going on, everyone, and welcome to a special BDO video. So a lot of people have been asking me what I do for life skills and some advice on how to improve it. So here are some things that I did. It's not like a top 10 or anything, but it's just like some simple steps from beginner to how do you progress in life skills. And I do have a little note of things that I did when I started. So first of all, we're gonna start with basics, and in terms of gear, I'll go over like what I did. So back in the day, we didn't have Monos or the Logia things, so we just had to use magical tools and whatever. But one thing I wanted to look at with the recent change was how do you go about progressing? Let's say all you did was grind and stuff, and you want to learn how to do life skilling. Here's how I did it. So first of all, what you're going to want to do is, for the most part, step one, find some clothes to go about doing it. Like, I know Monos is supposed to be the end game item, and everyone strives to go for the higher ones. But if you are just looking out to start over and try it to see if you like it, the Logia is a good option for beginners. Now, here's the thing. There are three types: green, blue, and I guess red. So Logia, the blue quality one, and Monos. I personally skipped the blue one just because I didn't think it was value efficient. And the only time I think I would buy a blue tier quality one, so hold on. Where would that even be under, actually? Functional clothes. So there's silver embroidered, which is the old one. And then there's like different, yeah, these blue ones. They have different names, so I don't even know what to call it. These are like Logia, all of them are Logia, and then the blue ones are called something different, and then there's Monos. So anyway, I always skip the blue tier because, yeah, not really value. However, if we look at anything, where's the Gatherers one? Let me find it. I don't think that's it. But anyway, so the only time I'd get one is all the same in terms of mastery. So if you look at the 330 here, what we're looking at is the mastery. And in terms of value, if you can get a pen one off the market, that's good. I would not recommend making it yourself because more mastery is always better. So the only time I would go blue is if you can somehow get a pen, and only pen. But other than that, start with green. And one thing they changed recently was they added armor or DP to all of the Gatherer's clothes because it helped people with like the Navern step thing and people going for the infinite potions. I think that's really why they added it. So now that there's DP on the Gatherer's clothes, the difference between the DP is not that high. It's just the mastery is significant. So overall, starters, go for Logia, and then once you get enough money, I would just go straight to Monos. It's 2022. And so in terms of other gear, aside from the armor, one big tip I would give people is look into durability crystals for a weapon if you're gathering, because it'll help you with your tool, and it'll just like you can gather longer without repairing. So I know people did the Gerbish route for more weight. I just think I value durability reduction a little bit more. So it's actually not that expensive and is a lot on sale. So you can just buy the durability crystals, very cheap. And it doesn't matter what weapon you put it in as long as it has 2 crystal slots, because your weapon itself doesn't affect gathering unless one day they decide to add another mastery weapon. They're probably not. But anyway, just find any old weapon with 2 crystal slots, get durability crystals in there. And yeah, the next thing you're gonna do, this is something they added this year. I don't remember when, but it's not new, but it's not old either. Is the Liana's tool bag. And basically, if you're at like level 50 or something, 50, 55, there's a quest in Heidel, I believe, Liana, and then you just answer like 10 questions and it's like pick one of the 4 answers, multiple choice, and after you answer them, she'll give you a tool bag, and you put all your tools in here, so you get the little bar over here, then you put your stuff there. It helps with inventory. It's pretty nice, and you could just swap back and forth between all of them for life skilling pretty easily, just hitting like one button. And so yeah, that's a nice quality of life change. Next thing that people have been asking me is it worth upgrading into a alchemy stone? And for the most part, so I did the spirit stone for a long time because it's just one time use. You toss it or you grind it into the dust and you use that for grinding. So I don't think life stones are bad at all. These are definitely just, you know, one time use, or once the durability is gone, then you just buy a new one. They're very cheap. But people have been asking, is it worth getting into the higher end ones? And the answer is yes, in a way, but like, how long will it take you to make the silver back is another problem. So ultimately, when I did it, I started with life spirit stones, and I don't think they're bad at all. The difference is you're gonna have the gathering item drop rate a little bit higher, and you want the mastery on the Khan's Heart, or if you're going to do that, you're going to be wanting the gathering item drop rate. That's the most important part. So those are the things you're looking for. Everything else is just a bonus, like the cooking and alchemy time. You can fix that with other stuff. Processing success rate. If you're processing, I'm going to be honest, you should be AFK when you do that, like mass processing. The weight's always nice though. But everything else, you're just looking for drop rate or gather rate and mastery. So what I did when I started was I went directly to the sharp one. I didn't bother with any of these old ones, or the smaller tier ones. I don't think this one is worth it because the sturdy one is the equivalent of a spirit stone, more or less. So if we look at this one, it's like 111, 1.1, 10% gathering item drop rate, right? And so this is basically the same thing. So you might as well just buy the ones that you can actually get. And I know there's none on sale right now because alchemy stones are like a high-end thing where people just blow them up to try to go for a splendid. But anyway, if you can get your hands on one of these, it's probably worth it overall. And you can actually repair them, which is the good thing. So the real question is, should you get anything higher than that, like a Khan's Heart? I think the answer is yes. If it boosts you up into a higher mastery bracket, it's worth it. But it is going to give you a little bit less gathering item drop rate by like 1%. But I think the mastery, if it boosts you up into a new bracket, it's worth it. As for Splendid, these are one of the things you're probably going to have to make yourself because it is in the very high end. It's a high end item that like only the top tier players can really get, so I wouldn't really worry about this. You either have a sharp, a Khan's Heart, or a spirit stone. And the reason why this isn't as important is because it's like, one, it's stupid hard to get in general. Like the last time it was sold was 4 months ago, so chances of you getting it are pretty low. And even if someone does get it, they're probably just gonna blow it up for Splendid. So realistically, sharp, easier to get, or Khan's Heart, the most like the easiest one to get in a way. Easy because you can get it through bartering, you can get it from the boss itself, and I think realistically it has the least number of orders on it. It is expensive, but I think eventually you'll make the money back for it. So next thing we're going to be talking about is artifacts. There are a lot of combinations and there's no right or wrong answer to what you do. I personally I like the gathering XP, and I know there's a better option. It's the Plains, Forest, Fortune, and Iridescent Lightstone combo, and that one's like dumb silver, but it gives you mastery, XP, gather rate, and everything. It's a lot. It's like the best in slot one. But for me, I personally just like straight up XP, and then I use the gathering item drop rate one, so 4% of that, and like 20% item gather. And that's because the reason why I do this is because I want gather XP, and for a cheap amount like that one, it was less than what, like 25 million silver. I'm just gathering XP, and then we're boosting our mastery overall every time we level, and it goes up by 5. And I think it's worth it because permanent mastery by level is worth more than a little bit of drop rate to me. So it's like, do you want money or overall mastery? And once I get to a certain point, then we'll swap over. But I don't know if there's a cap, but like 2,000 mastery is generally where people get to, and getting 2,000 is basically you have a lot of pen armors, almost perfect gear. But other than that, you can get it with like buffs and stuff as well, like when they give out these secret things. By the way, mastery is a lot more valuable than you may think. So people are like, oh, it's just 100 mastery. And believe it or not, if you're doing a lot of like Imperials and other sort of like cooking, that actually is billions of silver worth of things over time. So I do value mastery very highly, especially at the very higher end levels. So don't use these randomly. Just if once you get an idea of the mastery brackets and what you're knowing or gonna do, then you would use these, because I do value mastery very highly. So yeah, that's the thing. So let's see, another tip I can give you for life skilling. There's an option down here for mouse movement. Now here's the thing. Mouse movement for gathering is very useful. However, it is only useful for certain certain gathering. So for example, if you're just chopping trees or something, I think it's very good. But in terms of like butchering and fluid collecting, I don't really like it as much, because it just feels a little bit wonky to do with, like, you have to 2 steps instead of 1. But I think it's good for certain life skills. It works for everything, but it just feels a little bit clunkier with like butcher gathering versus just chopping trees, because it's an extra few clicks in terms of like you actually have to attack the wolf or whatever and then gather it, versus just clicking on a tree and not moving. So overall, it is a time saver, but you kind of have to figure out which ones it works better with and which one it doesn't. So that's the thing. So we talked about durability crystals, the tool bag, life stones, artifacts, the mouse movement, Logia to Monos in terms of gearing. I would, yeah, honestly, Logia, then go straight to Monos, skip the blue one. It's 2022, you can get the Monos tools and clothes by doing various things. So like, for example, if you do Imperial deliveries, you get these seal things, right? And then you turn in 10,000 of them, you can get like Monos tools and clothes in general, just from these doing it every day. So that's another thing. Imperial delivery is actually a very important thing. So one thing I wanted to talk about is what clothes to use for this one. So if you're making your like foods and stuff to do Imperial delivery, I'm just gonna give you a very basic rundown on how it works. So let's say you're cooking, right? I would use the silver embroidered clothes for cooking itself, because not only does it reduce the cooking time, it gives you more XP. More XP always better, because you want mastery up and everything. So you cook with your silver embroidered clothes, and then once you make the Imperial delivery or the boxes, and when you turn it in, you want to swap it out to the Monos cook clothes, because it gives more mastery. And when you look at here, the like cooking, for example, you're at the very bottom, it says you will receive extra profit depending on your cooking mastery. So like, for example, right now, if I were to use this one when I'm cooking, right, my mastery is 11, 15, and then I have a 79.6 profit. If we swap it to the Monos clothes, we have a 14, 15 cooking, and we have 104% profit. So yeah, it adds up over time. So if you have the chance and you're doing Imperials, that's when you swap it out, versus when you're cooking, it's different. When it comes to alchemy, I wouldn't do Imperial Delivery for alchemy because in terms of profit, it's not really profitable because the high-end things you're making, like elixirs and potions, you kind of want to use those yourself, or you'll probably make more just selling it to the market if you can. But yeah, I think that in general rules of cooking, you use silver embroidered. Imperial Delivery, you use monos. That goes for basically everything you could do it with, so cooking, alchemy. What else? Yeah, you should be doing guru boxes if you can. So basically, let me show you something real quick. We're gonna have to go to Heidel for this. I'm just gonna show you a quick rundown of how like Imperial deliveries work, and like the numbers you get out of it. So ultimately, the kind of boxes you could turn in are based on like your cooking mastery, or not mastery, your like rank. So here, figure out what it is. If you're guru, you do guru boxes. If you're master, master boxes. Skilled, apprentice, whatever. And so I would recommend trying to aim for guru, and its profit, even if you just buy the materials off the market, turn them into boxes, and then like Imperial it. So for me, it's probably like an extra 100 million silver a day just by buying it and turning it in. But I like to make it myself. So here's the NPC for Imperial crafting. The way it works is basically you have Imperial delivery quantity, and that number is your contributions divided by 2. Your contribution points divided by 2, and that's how you get your quantity. So basically, you can hover over here and just figure out what materials or like what kind of foods you need to turn into a box. And yeah, there's a quest somewhere in Heidel by the castle, like straight up down past there. It'll allow you to mass craft Imperial boxes. So like these, let's say you turn them in and then you use these heavy duty packing cords. You could do, instead of 1, you do 10 at a time. So it's pretty easy. And so basically, back in the day, there used to be a limit per channel, and you can only turn in X amount of boxes on the channel. That goes for like literally everyone on the server. So then they removed that, which is a huge quality of life thing. Now that everyone can just get that extra, X amount of money daily, it's a good thing. So whatever your rank of cooking or alchemy is, do that box if you can. Ultimately, your end game goal would be to do guru boxes because you could turn it in. So ultimately, if you had 0 mastery, you would probably be either losing money or breaking even with these materials. However, the way you profit is by mastery. And so that's why I said 100 thingies are very valuable. You just get straight up more money. And then you want to use your cook's clothes to turn it in. So overall, that was a very broad term of how like things I would do, mastery and stuff. So if you have any other tips, feel free to leave it in the description. I would love to see your guys' feedback as well. And as well as for the new players, maybe you'll get some advice here and you'll find some extra tips in the description from other players as well. So with that said, hopefully you learned something. If anything, durability crystals on your weapon will help you gather for longer, and it's really nice to have. And yeah, so with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I do try to upload videos pretty regularly, so if you are looking into getting into this game or beginner stuff, I have a lot of videos because I've been playing this game for quite a long time, and I just want to pass down some information to you guys as well. And yeah, with that said, see you guys tomorrow. Would love to see you guys come back, hit that subscribe button, the like, and all that other stuff. See you later.